Welcome back to the shop again. I'm Kirk Anderson. This is part 2 of my workbench build, the tabletop. Now in the bench top, I'm going to have dog holes, and I'm also going to incorporate a sanding box in the top. I want to thank you for watching this video and give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Now, let's get into this build. Now this top is going to be 2 layers of 3/4 inch plywood. Now I did cut the panels oversized, then I laid out a grid for drilling holes to be able to clamp the 2 pieces together. Now this piece is what will be the bottom, and here I'm pre-drilling for the screw holes. Now this is the top, and it's upside down, and I'm putting the glue on this. Now I'm spreading the glue out with a trowel that's designed to spread carpet adhesive. You definitely don't want to skimp on glue on a glue up like this. Then I placed the bottom piece on top, and then I started driving in screws to clamp them together. Well, I let that sit to cure. It was a little over a day. Then I brought it to the table saw to cut it down to size and clean up the edges on the long sides. Table saw wasn't big enough, nor would it have been safe to cut the edges of the short sides. So for the short sides, I used my track saw. Then I also used the track saw to cut the hole for where the sanding box will be. I laid out the lines, then I just cut prior to hitting the line. Then I went back with a hand saw to finish the cut. Now I just used some poplar to cover up the edges of the tabletop. Now these strips are glued, then clamped, and then pin nailed in. Now to get rid of that sharp edge, I just used a chamfering bit on the router. For the dog holes, I used a boring template from Woodrave that attaches to my Festool router. Then I used a 3/4 inch routing bit to bore the holes. Once all the dog holes were bored, I went back with my palm router with a 1/8 inch round overing bit to round over the edges. And then to protect the top, I put a couple of coats of wipe-on poly. Then it was time to secure the top to the base. When I built the base, I put some pocket holes in there for attaching the top. Now it's time to build a sanding box. The sanding box is just made out of 1/2 inch plywood, and it's glued and pin nailed together. I just made sure that the pieces were snugly clamped before I pin nailed it. And same thing with the bottom of the box. Just glue and pin nails. If anybody's familiar with the sanding box, you have to have an angled piece in there. To ensure that there's no air gaps, I just caulked around the edges. Then the sanding box is just screwed into the hole that I cut for it. Now this sanding box is going to be hooked up to my dust collector through a 4-inch port. And then a little test of the sanding block. Here I did some sanding for about 30 seconds without the dust collector being turned on. And then I did about a minute's worth of sanding with the dust collector on. And there's very little dust compared to when the dust collector was turned off. Well, that completes part 2 of my workbench build. I hope you enjoyed the video, and again, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And stay tuned for part 3, which will be building drawers that will go in the base of the workbench. And as always, all you woodworkers out there, just get out there and cut some wood.